Good morning, Naturally Marilyn. Today we're going to be doing the Nacho Supreme. So family request today is taco beef and also refried beans, which are homemade. So I hope you enjoy this, and if you would like to see some other sort of version or the recipe for the baked beans, we can make that happen. So I hope you enjoy it, and we will see you soon. Hi there. So we are into cooking the beef for the nachos. I just start off with some ground beef or whatever you like to have on your nachos. Could be chicken, could be, that's the refried beans thawing out, they're homemade. So I start off like I did with the tacos, and if I do beef on the nachos, I prefer it to have some flavor, so I do the taco. And this is a gluten-free one. I used to make absolutely everything from scratch, but I found that every minute of my time was making stuff to prep to cook, or the baking, or spices, sauces, like absolutely everything from scratch. Desserts, breads, you name it. So I just really had little time for other things. So when I come across something like that, it's a real time saver for me. But I do have recipes for gluten-free taco seasoning and other things if you're interested. So again, we just ground the ground beef cooking here. It's just about done. I add a little bit of mushrooms to that. By a little, that's a little for me. I like mushrooms and onions and just about everything. But I'm unable to have onions now, but I can have a little bit of leeks, and I've recently been able to digest spring onions. So because that's going to be on the nachos, I'm not going to put it in here and overwhelm it. So once this is cooked down, I'll add the seasoning and drain that, and then we can build the nachos. I like to have something like refried beans or something a little bit sort of wet on there, because since the radiation, I can't really eat anything dry at all. So if I cook it and it is a drier recipe such as nachos, I either try to put like something like this, which is the homemade refried beans, or I do you know, the guacamole and sour cream. You can get lactose-free sour cream, which is really good. So I'll show you the refried beans as we go. If you're interested in that, I just generally use my recipe for baked beans from the lovely Jean, and it turns out absolutely perfect every time. So if you're interested in the baked bean recipe, let me know, and I can do one of those up, no problem. So the beef and the mushrooms are cooked down nicely. I've just placed the refried, or the beans, technically they're the baked beans. What I do is I make a double batch in the roasting pan, the big one, and then I separate them into meal portions. So sometimes you can have that just as a side of beans, or in this case, when I would like to have refried beans, I cook them all down so that it becomes almost that mushy paste that you see when you buy it in the cans, but you're not getting all the additives, preservatives, and salt. So we're going to do that now. It's going to cook itself down, and we'll show you that in a bit, and then we're just going to add the taco spice to the beef. And we'll let that cook down, and we'll see where we're at shortly. So that's half a package of the taco seasoning. Now, I tend to make the beef a little bit larger in this case because you want a nice hearty chunk of meat on your nachos. At least I do, so it's a complete preference. I know when I go out and there's like 5 granules of little tiny, I don't even know what to call it, that you sometimes get on the nachos when you go out. I'm like, what is this? For me, with the radiation, stuff like that just sticks in my throat. So it's actually better if I can feel what's going there. Otherwise, little things, little bits like that just get stuck in my throat. So I'm going to continue to fry these beans down. They're drying up nicely. Oh, it smells really delicious. And I'm going to get cutting up all of the ingredients we're going to need for the nachos. Half of it I'm going to make with regular mozzarella cheese and some purple onion and things like that. I can't have that. But the rest of the family doesn't need to go without, so I'll be building half of it that way, and a half of it is going to be more gastro sort of friendly nachos. So stay tuned. So we're making some nice progress, as you can see here, with the refried beans. They're pretty thick and goopy, and that's what we want to see. The bonus to making the beans and then frying them is I found a couple nice pieces of bacon. I don't know if you can see them there, from when it was just plain baked beans. I like to put bacon and bacon fat in there. Why not go all the way if you're going to have it anyways, right? It's beans after all. It's a fat-burning food anyways, so what the heck, why not put a little bit in there? I should make mention as well as on the taco seasoning, I mentioned that it was a bit of a gastro-friendly recipe. Probably just about a year now I've been able to eat a little bit of the taco seasoning. Normally you can't have anything spicy. But I found that gluten-free is not as strong. So when I used to make my own, I could just determine how strong I wanted that to be, so it was pretty easy. This is a nice solution because I don't have to spend all this time making rubs and sauces and seasonings and all these things, and it still works for me, so pretty happy. Just about done cutting up all the things we'll need, and then we'll go to prep. Now doesn't that look appetizing? So as you can see, we've got that mushy consistency, which you want to see. And it can be, you can fry it up a little drier than that if you like. I just like it to have a little bit of wetness there because it's going to also bake in the oven. So again, this isn't something you normally want to, I don't know, not everybody wants to put on nachos. But my daughter requested it today, so that's what is happening. So I'm just going to break down this hamburger a tiny bit more, but not by much. I don't know, I make such a mess across the stove, I'm telling you. There we go. Lots of nice mushroom, lots of nice saucy kind of spicy meatball. And it smells so incredible. I can't wait. So before, I used to just assemble this as soon as I was done and have it ready on the pan to just pop in the oven when people got home. But I really like all my ingredients to be like smoking hot when I eat it. So I now just heat it up in the pan when I'm ready to dress it and put it in the oven. So then that way in the oven it doesn't take so long to cook, and less chance that the tortillas are going to dry out even more, or the cheese is going to get dry. So it just gives it this really nice oozy sort of gooey texture, which I prefer. Okay, so we're ready to assemble here. We have our beans and beef are hot on the stove. Now, whatever chips I happen to have in the house, sometimes I use these whole grain, different baked kind of things or what have you, but all with a corn base because I'm gluten-free. So right now we have some rounds and we have a touch of lime. So I'll mix and match those. These ones are huge, so I'll break them up just a tad. And I don't put a ton on the bottom base because I like to layer it. The old, you know, Nacho Supreme kind of style with lots and lots of stuff going on. So we'll do that. So this is lots for the bottom base. And what I do is I still squirt a little bit of lime on it, but that's not necessary. And I don't measure. I just give it a little bit of a blast. It tastes really good on there. And we are going to put some meat on. Alrighty, so we're ready for the first layer. We're going to start with the beef. Just be all willy-nilly and get creative if you like. Now, I like to put lots. You don't want to hear people saying, where's the beef? So, again, you can use chicken or whatever you like, some shredded pork. It doesn't matter. Sometimes I just use leftovers, but this is quite a bit of beef. And then I usually add the peppers. So one side's going to have green peppers, the other side's going to have red. Green for the people who can digest well. That doesn't happen to be me. So that'll go on that half. So I'll use half of the peppers there. Red down here. It's more of us eating the red side, so that's why there's a little bit more going on. And then these tomatoes are a low acidic tomato. I can't have the regular ones anymore, and when Nicole was little, she couldn't have regular tomatoes, so I actually grew the large version of these, and it really does work, doesn't it, Nicole?
Absolutely.
So we're pretty happy with that.
No acid reflux with these ones.
That's right. Good times. So on the green side of the green peppers there, we're going to be using the purple onion because, again, that's something for the people who have a great time digesting. They can handle that. On this side, it's going to be leeks and a little bit of the leek stock. Have a little easier time digesting that, and you get that little tiny bit of pop of garlic there, so that's kind of nice. And as you can see, I'm not shy with the ingredients. Now, we can all have a little bit of green onion. That took me about 4 or 5 years to be able to get that far of eating a gastric diet, but now we're here, so I'm happy about it. We're going to put on some refried beans next. Now again, this is something you may or may not want to put normally, but we're going to keep putting a little bit of dollop here and a little bit of dollop there. Gives it a nice little bit of pliability when you go to eat, so it's not all dry and stuck. I don't know if you guys have ever been out to a place and ordered nachos and it's a thin layer of cheese and it's stuck like a rock to the chips that have been baked too long. I don't enjoy that. So this was Nicole's request to have some refried beans on it this time. So that's what we're doing.
Whoop whoop.
So again, this is the baked beans that I just fried down into a nice refried mush. So that's fun. And then we're going to do some black olives. You don't have to put that on. Some people prefer not. Some people like green, whatever floats your boat.
I'm definitely more of a green olive person for my peeps out there.
So, guys, she's single, so if you're going to make her nachos, make sure you use some green olives on there, alright?
But I will eat anything you give me.
This is very good like that, as long as you cook it. But she will do all the prep and dishes, so there's no problem there.
That's right.
Okay, so then we're going to move on to the cheese. Okay, so on with the cheese. Now, the end that has the green pepper and the purple onion is going to have mozzarella cheese. Now, I know it gets really exciting here, but it's also something else I can't have is lactose. Good times, right? So this mozzarella is going to go on this end. I don't know. I just react to it. It just has too much lactose for my taste. So this is how it's going to go. So at least the benefit of seeing this is you can see different ways to make nachos at one time. And what I generally will do is put a colored toothpick in one of the ends so we know which end we're at in case the pan gets turned around at all. So this is a mix of lactose-free cheeses, cheddar and a farmer's cheese. I actually get an amazing selection at Walmart or the Superstore or any of that. And it's not the Daiya cheese, not that I have anything against it, but that's more of a vegan cheese. And it's very plasticky tasting to me, personally. This, you can't even tell the difference. So this is layer 1. Good times, eh? We're going to move into layer number 2. So we'll do the same thing. We'll layer the chips thinly. A little bit of rounds. Now usually my little cat, little tuxie wuxie woo woo, is underneath me, getting all the droppings. He really thinks he's a dog. I think sometimes he's always underneath you when you're eating. And of course he loves the fact that I spread the cheese everywhere, and it's usually almost as much on the floor as I've got everywhere else. And we'll do a few lime chips here. to get them to the edges so things don't fall off, because we're kind of building it a little bit high, but that's how I roll. There we go, it's not too thick. You can still see through it. And we're going to go with the shot of lime again. Now if you have fresh lime, that's wonderful. I just don't happen to have it today. So that's it for the lime. We're going to start again in basically the same order. Whatever mood strikes you. It actually doesn't matter what order you go, it's just whatever you feel like doing. I just find this bigger stuff on the bottom kind of weighs it down and holds it better when you cut up a slice, and have the lighter stuff that might fall or whatever on top. So again, there's some gluten-free taco seasoning on this, but you can have plain beef, or you can make an Italian seasoning. I've done that before with a little bit of oregano and basil and garlic, of course, and stuff like that, and it's actually quite good. So it's just whatever your fancy is that day. Today the request was to have a taco meat, so that's what we're doing. Hence the refried beans as well. So we're going to start off again. So this end here is going to have the green peppers. This is what you call Nacho Supreme. Hello. And down here for us people with gastric problems, we're going to have the red. It just seems the green is a little more difficult to digest, as well as it's actually more gassy than, even though they're all a sweet pepper, it's more gassy than your colored peppers. And I actually can't remember the color order now, but for sure I know I can't have green, so that's where we're at. So again, we're going to sprinkle some of these nice low acidic tomatoes everywhere. There's actually several kinds you can get, not just this. If you look in your grocery store or look it up, you'll find that there are several options, so you shouldn't have to go without. We got a wild tomato here on the farm. There's a couple peppers left, so we'll give it to the end that can chew it. There we be. Next we're going to be doing purple onions down here with the green peppers. So this is just how I like to make them. If you prefer a lot less ingredients on there, like I know when I go out it doesn't look like this, so maybe not everybody prefers to have this amount of stuff on it, but I like to have a surprise in every bite. I think it's kind of fun. So we're doing leeks and a tiny bit of spring onion down here. Give it a little bit of a pop. Now things are getting mixed up, but that's okay. I'll just give him some. There we go. Now we're going to do a little bit of refried beans. So again, as I said in the thing, this is the homemade baked beans. If you are interested in seeing that, I can make a batch of that for you from scratch and show you. And then, as I said, I just separate them into kind of meal portions and freeze them. So when I want to have just a side of beans, I can do that, or I can cut it down and cook it for refried beans. So it seems to work well, and you get a good amount out of the recipe. Now also we'll be having a little bit of guacamole and some sour cream. There's some really good options for gluten-free sour cream, and we can take a picture of that after. Again, I get that at, I find the Superstore here, where I live anyhow, has an amazing selection for that. And also their cream cheese. Before I had to buy a coconut version, which is great as long as you're not cooking or baking with it, because then it gets quite watery. So we found an option that doesn't do that. It's just a lactose-free, milk-based cream cheese. So I think we're ready for the cheese now. And the table's getting messy, so you know it's going to be good. So again, we'll go with the matzo down here, and I'll be a little more liberal with it on top. Oops, there we go. She's making a mess everywhere. This is why the cat's usually right underneath me. He knows I drop all the cheese. I'm going to need more matzo, I think. Some more matzo. And while I'm prepping this, I have the oven heating at 400. I find that works best. Every oven's a little different. Some heat hotter, some don't. I've had to do some at 375 in a different oven, or 425 in other ones. So just play with that and see. It should be, you know, about 10, maybe 12 to 15 minutes max. I'd say about 12 minutes works well for me. While we're getting some more matzo, I'm going to work on this end. Oh, thank you. That was fast. My lovely assistant Nicole here is getting the cheese ready.
And sampling.
Simply. The extra ingredients. So they know you're not in here fingering the food. So usually I'm not holding on to everything as I'm doing it. I'm a little less. No, it doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you, I'm messy when I do it. It's true. Like, I like to get it right to the edges and really douse it, so. Because this is the meal. That's all she wrote. We're not having anything else with it. It's just Nacho Supreme. And we have like one big piece, and it's pretty filling, huh?
Very.
Hmm?
Hey?
So let's get the cheese everywhere.
You from Canada, eh?
Got at least quarter to a half cup of cheese left over here that I've sprinkled all over the table.
I see your rogue tomato on the floor.
Right, that's what I said. It got away. I took off. You're not getting me this time. For all the children watching this video, that's going to be a little bit scarring. Did the tomato really get away? Oh, woman, why do you make such a mess? So today, because we have two completely different color cheeses, it's probably not necessary to do the old toothpick trick we talked about. So we'll see you when she's baked.
Can't wait.